The air hangs thick and heavy, a suffocating blanket of heat and humidity over the vast river systems of Cretaceous North Africa. Below the murky, olive-green water, a colossal shadow detaches itself from the riverbed. It rises. First, a long, crocodilian snout breaks the surface, followed by a head adorned with a delicate crest. Then, impossibly, a magnificent sail of skin and bone, taller than a man, slices through the water. This is Spinosaurus aegyptiacus, the spine lizard of Egypt, an emperor in an empire of water. At up to 15 meters long, it was a predator that dwarfed even the mighty Tyrannosaurus rex. But what kind of dinosaur lived its life in the water? How did this river titan rise to power? And what secrets led to its ultimate, tragic fall? To understand the legend, we must go back to the beginning. If you are as fascinated by these lost worlds as we are, consider subscribing to our channel for more journeys into deep time. Now, let us begin our journey. Our story rewinds 97 million years to a time before the creature became a phantom of the river. Here, in the late Cretaceous, on a vast, sun-scorched sand flat in what will one day be Morocco, a new life begins. This is not yet a land of endless desert. It is the Kem group, a colossal river system, a network of deltas and tidal flats wider than any on Earth today. The air is a thick blanket of heat and moisture, humming with the drone of giant insects. Towering conifers and strange, flowerless ferns crowd the water's edge, their roots gripping loose soil against the sluggish current. Here, on a bank of sun-bleached sand, a clutch of enormous, oblong eggs lies buried in a mound of rotting vegetation and earth. The heat from the decaying plants provides a steady, gentle warmth. For months, there has been silence. But now, a tremor runs through one of the leathery shells. A tiny crack spiders across its surface, then another. A small, wet snout pushes through, blinking in the blinding glare of the African Sunday. Our protagonist has hatched. He is nothing like the titan he will become. He is a fragile, ungainly creature, barely half a meter long, all spindly legs and oversized feet. His famous sail is just a low, fleshy ridge along his back, his long jaw more awkward than intimidating. He and his siblings emerge one by one, a tangle of wet limbs and chirps, driven by an ancient, primal instinct. They are exquisitely vulnerable. The world they have entered is a land of giants, and they are among the smallest things in it. A shadow falls over the nest. It is their mother. She is a mountain of flesh and bone, 18 meters from snout to tail. Her head alone is longer than a fully grown man. She watches the hatchlings with an unreadable, reptilian stillness. Her presence is a temporary shield, her sheer scale a deterrent to the opportunistic hunters of the floodplain. A scavenging pterosaur, an elanca with a 5-meter wingspan, circles high above but dares not descend. A lungfish gasps in a nearby pool. This is a world teeming with life, and therefore, with death. The mother offers no comfort, no food. Her duty is done. Survival is now their own affair. The scent of the water, the smell of fish and wet mud calls to them. It is their birthright, their sanctuary. Our small Spinosaur, driven by this deep-seated need, stumbles towards the river's edge. His oversized, flat-clawed feet, which will one day serve as paddles, splay across the soft sand, preventing him from sinking. This is the first lesson. The earth is unstable, but his body is already adapted to it. He looks up at his mother. The sun silhouettes her, illuminating the towering structure that gives their species its name. The spine lizard, so named by its discoverer, Ernst Stromer, for the incredible neural spines, some taller than a man, that rose from her vertebrae. Scientists would debate its function for a century. A thermoregulatory device, a fat storage hump, or what it most likely was, a magnificent display structure, a billboard broadcasting her size and fitness across the water. To the hatchling, it is simply the shape of safety, a mountain against the sky. He reaches the shallows, the cool water, a shocking relief against the oppressive heat. For the first time, he feels the element that will define his entire existence. The river teems with small fish, darting like silver needles in the sunday. Here, he is no longer clumsy. Instinct takes over. His long snout, peppered with pressure-sensing pits, is perfectly designed for this. He dips his head, feeling the vibrations of his first potential meal. The world above is fraught with peril, but here, in the water, he feels a sense of belonging. The great river has accepted its newest child. The seasons turned in the slow, relentless rhythm of the Cretaceous. Our young Spinosaur grew rapidly. Within 5 years, he was over 6 meters long, a formidable predator in his own right, yet still a shadow of his future self. The river was his school, and its lessons were harsh. His world was a constant cycle of trial and error. His early hunts were clumsy affairs. He would stand in the shallows, a patient but unskilled heron, watching schools of the fish lepidotes flash past. He would lunge, jaws snapping shut on empty water, his movements too slow, too obvious. The quick, agile fish would scatter, leaving him with nothing but a splash. Hunger was a sharp and constant teacher. He learned that sight alone was not enough in these murky, sediment-rich waters. He had to learn to use a sense far more ancient. He would stand motionless for hours, his long snout submerged just beneath the surface. What was he sensing in that brown water? Let's use 3D visualization to look closer. The fossilized bones of his snout are riddled with small openings, known as neurovascular foramina. These weren't random pits. They were the external gateways to a sophisticated network of pressure sensors, a biological sonar system almost identical to that found in modern crocodiles and alligators. Each ripple, each flick of a fin from a passing fish, would register as a distinct signal in his brain, painting a picture of a world he could not see. He tried again. This time, he ignored the fleeting visual cues. He closed his eyes, relying entirely on the information feeding through his snout. He felt the subtle pressure wave of a large lungfish moving lazily near the riverbed. He didn't see it, but he knew its size, its speed, its exact location. In a single, fluid motion, he plunged his head into the water. His jaws closed with a percussive snap. This time, they found their mark. He lifted his head, a wriggling fish held securely in his interlocking conical teeth. These teeth, unlike the blade-like serrated steak knives of a Carcharodontosaurus, were designed like fish hooks, perfect for piercing and preventing escape. He was learning. His body was a perfect aquatic toolkit. His nostrils were positioned high on his skull, allowing him to breathe while almost fully submerged. His dense bones, unlike the hollow bones of most other large theropods, provided ballast, helping him control his buoyancy in the water. He was not an animal that merely visited the water. He was built to live in it. But waiting was not enough. To hunt the true giants of the river, he had to master the deep channels. He had to learn to swim. How could a multi-ton, bipedal dinosaur propel itself effectively through water? A 3D reconstruction of his skeleton reveals the secret, an adaptation that stunned the world of paleontology. His tail was not the stiff, tapering tail of other theropods. It was long, deep, and incredibly flexible, with elongated neural spines creating a massive paddle, a caudal fin, much like a newt's. By sweeping this powerful engine from side to side, he could generate immense forward thrust. He was, in essence, a tail-propelled animal. He spent more and more time in the main channel, practicing this new form of locomotion. He was awkward at first, a student of hydrodynamics, but his power grew with his size. He could now hold his own in the strong currents, diving deeper, staying submerged for longer. He was no longer just a wader. He was becoming a true river monster, leaving the crowded banks and venturing into the heart of his liquid kingdom. His apprenticeship was ending. Soon, he would be ready to challenge the river's other titans. 15 years passed. Our Spinosaurus was now an adult, a true leviathan of the Cretaceous. At 18 meters long and weighing over 7 tons, he was the largest carnivorous dinosaur that had ever lived, a superlative that holds to this day. His sail, now a magnificent structure of skin stretched over spines nearly 2 meters tall, was a vibrant banner of his dominance. His life was a patrol, a constant journey along the deep, arterial channels of his riverine territory. He was the undisputed lord of the waterways. His youthful diet of small fish and amphibians was a distant memory. Now, he hunted giants. His primary quarry were the river's other behemoths, the car-sized coelacanth, Mawsonia, and the most formidable of all, the 8-meter-long sauskate, Onchopristis. Hunting such prey required a complete mastery of his amphibious abilities. He would patrol the deepest part of the channel, his body submerged, only the top of his sail and his high-set nostrils breaking the surface. With his snout dipped below, he read the river's currents, filtering the silent vibrations for the telltale signature of his prey. Then, he would feel it, the slow, powerful movement of a massive coelacanth below. This was the moment his entire evolution had prepared him for. He would sink beneath the surface, his dense bones giving him neutral buoyancy. With powerful, sweeping undulations of his tail fin, he propelled himself through the murky water with terrifying speed. He was not an ambush predator hiding in wait, but an active pursuit predator in the water. He closed the distance in seconds. The coelacanth, alerted at the last moment, surged forward, but it was too late. His jaws, filled with interlocking daggers, clamped down on its tail. The struggle began. The sauskate thrashed wildly, its powerful body twisting, its namesake rostrum a deadly weapon. But the Spinosaur's grip was absolute. He used his immense bulk, his powerful legs finding purchase on the riverbed, and his surprisingly robust arms, tipped with huge, hooked claws, to gain leverage. He was an anchor in the current, and slowly, inexorably, he dragged his colossal, struggling prize from the depths and onto a muddy bank. It was a monumental victory, but the scent of blood travels far. As he began to feed, a challenger emerged from the tree line. It was the other apex predator of this ecosystem, the tyrant of the terrestrial realm, Carcharodontosaurus. The shark-toothed lizard was an immense animal itself, a 12-meter-long engine of destruction built on a completely different blueprint. Its skull was deep and powerful. Its teeth were serrated blades made for shearing flesh, and its legs were built for running down prey on the floodplain. The two giants faced each other at the water's edge, a tense standoff between two separate empires. The Carcharodontosaurus gave a low, rumbling growl, its massive head low, displaying the terrifying gape of its jaws. It was a clear threat, an attempt at intimidation to steal a hard-won meal. Our Spinosaurus responded in kind. He rose to his full height, making himself seem even larger, his sail cutting a massive profile against the sky. He opened his own jaws, hissing, a sound like a giant bellows. This was not a prelude to a fight to the death. Such confrontations between apex predators are incredibly risky. This was a battle of posture and nerve. Here, at the boundary of water and land, the Spinosaurus had the advantage. He was in his element. He could retreat into the river's depths at any moment. A sanctuary the land-bound hunter could not follow. The Carcharodontosaurus, for all its power, was on uncertain ground. After a long, tense moment, the terrestrial king conceded. A risky battle for a single meal wasn't worth a potential crippling injury. It gave a final, frustrated snort and retreated back into the shade of the ferns. The separation of powers was maintained. The land had its king, and the water had its emperor. Our protagonist returned to his feast, the undisputed tyrant of the tides. What brought you to your passion for dinosaurs and the prehistoric world? Share your story in the comments below. We'd love to hear it. No ruler reigns forever. For 3 decades, our Spinosaurus had been the master of his domain. But his greatest enemy was not a rival predator. It was time itself, and the slow, inexorable transformation of his world. He was old now. His once vibrant sail was tattered and scarred, a testament to a long life of battles and survival. His movements, once fluid and powerful, were now stiff with age. The mighty engine of his body was beginning to fail. Simultaneously, his kingdom was shrinking. The climate was changing. Global temperatures soared, ice caps melted, and the seas began to rise. The vast freshwater river system of the Kem was slowly being poisoned by an invading ocean. Saltwater pushed inland, killing the freshwater ferns and conifers, and transforming the banks into brackish mangrove swamps. His primary food sources, the giant freshwater fish like Anchopristis and Mawsonia, could not tolerate the salt. They vanished from the river, their populations dwindling, their carcasses washing up on the tidal flats. The Lord of the River was now a refugee in his own home, a specialist whose specialty was obsolete. Hunts became desperate, arduous affairs. He grew thin. The powerful muscles that propelled his tail atrophied. The fat reserves that may have once been stored in his sail were long gone. One day, weakened by hunger, he stalked a smaller, saltwater-tolerant crocodile. But his lunge was slow, his reactions dulled by age. The reptile easily evaded him, disappearing into the murky water. The failed hunt cost him the last of his energy. He dragged himself onto a sandbar, the same kind of place where he had hatched what felt like an eternity ago. The sun beat down on him. There was no challenger to overthrow him. No final, glorious battle. There was only the quiet, profound exhaustion of a life cycle reaching its end. He laid his great head down in the sand, and as the twin suns of a Cretaceous sunset dipped below the horizon, the great heart of the River King beat for the last time. His death was not an end, but the beginning of a new, impossibly long journey. As his body lay cooling, the river's scavengers arrived. Fish nibbled at his submerged tail, while pterosaurs and small land-based predators picked at the exposed flesh. The sun and the water did the rest, stripping the skeleton clean until only bone and sinew remained. The river, which had been his cradle and his hunting ground, now became his tomb. A seasonal flood, stronger than most, washed over the sandbar. The current, gentle at first, began to tug at his remains. The massive skeleton, no longer held together by ligaments, began to break apart. The heavy skull sank deep into the soft mud. The long vertebrae of his tail were scattered along the channel. His arm was pulled one way, his leg another. Then came the sediment. Ton upon ton of sand and silt, washed down by the changing river, buried his scattered bones. He was safe from the world above. Millennia passed in the blink of a geological eye. Hundreds of meters of rock piled on top of his resting place. The immense pressure, combined with groundwater percolating through the earth, began a slow alchemy. Water rich in dissolved minerals seeped into every porous space in his bones. Molecule by molecule, the original calcium and phosphate were replaced by silica and calcite. Flesh and bone became stone. His skeleton had become a fossil. For 97 million years, he waited in darkness as the world above was remade. Continents drifted. The Great Sea retreated. The lush swampland was lifted by tectonic forces and dried out, eventually becoming the searing expanse of the Sahara Desert. Wind, the patient sculptor of the desert, began to strip away the layers of rock, carving down through the ages, until, one day, the tip of a single, enormous neural spine was exposed to the African sun once more, a silent testament waiting for its story to be unearthed. The journey of our Spinosaurus did not end in the Cretaceous silt. Its second life, as a puzzle of stone, was just beginning. For 97 million years, its scattered bones held the secret of a life unlike any other, waiting for a different kind of predator, one armed with brushes and picks. The first to find this ghost was the German paleontologist Ernst Stromer in the early 20th century. From a partial skeleton found in Egypt, he described an animal so strange he could scarcely believe it. But his priceless discovery, the only known fossils of Spinosaurus, was turned to dust in an Allied bombing raid in 1944. For over half a century, the greatest hunter was a legend, known only from old drawings and photographs. It was a mystery, seemingly lost forever to human conflict. But science is persistent. Inspired by Stromer's legacy, a new generation of paleontologists, including Nizar Ibrahim and Paul Sereno, returned to the North African desert. They followed clues from fossil traffickers and local miners, piecing together a trail that led them back to the Kem group. There, they unearthed a new partial skeleton. It was the missing chapter, the key that unlocked the animal's true nature. They found the dense leg bones for ballast, the heron-like feet, and most importantly, the incredible paddle-like tail. The story we have told tonight is a testament to that perseverance. It shows that every fossil, no matter how fragmented, is a word in a forgotten epic. The life of Spinosaurus reveals a chapter in Earth's history where the rules were different, where a theropod dinosaur abandoned the land to become a monster of the river. Its bones, now resting in museums and laboratories, are the final, silent testament to a life of struggle and dominion, a singular epic from an age when giants truly ruled the earth. If you believe that every fossil holds a great story waiting to be told, subscribe to Ancient Rulers to help us bring those legends to light.